Welcome to the Gal's Guide to the Galaxy podcast, where a group of gals gather for you one cool thing around our topic of the month. Is it ancient history? Is it breaking news? Is it safe for work? Well, that's up to each gal. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Hello and welcome to Gal's Guide to the Galaxy podcast. It's a new month and I've got with me a new group of gal pals ready who are beaming with pride to talk about this month's research theme. So let's strut this rainbow bridge and introduce our first gal. If you're in Indiana this summer and you dig festivals, you're going to see this fiercely fab artist at an art fair near you. It's Bonnie Fillinsworth. Yes! Bonnie, tell the good people what you have been up to, my dear.
I've been working on a painting of Rear Admiral Grace Murray Hopper.
Sweet.
And I just designed some hard enamel pins of some of my ladies for the first time. I just ordered those the other day, and I should get them in about 3 weeks, and I'm very excited. And if you want to pre-order them, so you'll get them as soon as I get them, they're in my Etsy shop.
Sweet. I need to get all three, because they're gorgeous.
Yes, I have Hedy Lamarr, Rosalind Franklin, and a little suffrage banner that says, Mr. President, how long must women wait for liberty?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Sign me up. All three. Done. I do love my pins. Fantastic. Next up, she is the queen of my desert, or the way I spell it, dessert. Tell us about your adventures, Miss Katie Harris.
Well, I feel like I've also been the queen of your dessert.
Yes, you have.
Maybe a couple times, or a combined effort by the two of us.
Absolutely. You are my really go-to. Can you please make my birthday cake? That's the only present I want.
Well,
that was so good.
See? I told you. People think I oversell it. I don't.
Well, I've been turning my attentions lately to the beautiful weather we've had and getting a little gardening done.
Sweet.
I recently took the kids in my vocational program to tour a nursery, a flower nursery. All the kids thought we were either going to go see old people or babies.
Nice. Instead, they saw flowers and plants.
So things have been going well, and that's kind of where I've been enjoying the start of summer, and happy to be here tonight.
Sweet. Yay! Well, strike a pose. There's nothing to it. Vogue. Our inspirational photographer, do you see what I did there? Kim Thatcher is back. Welcome back, Kim. What have you been up to lately?
Well, I live in Lafayette, as you know.
Sorry, that was a margarita fail?
No.
Potholders, or not potholders, apparently cup holders stick.
Oh, they do. And bounce on the table.
That's fine.
No, it's awesome. But no, yeah, I've been working at a property management and realty company. I've still been doing photography, which is awesome. So now I'm taking pictures of houses and graduations and performances, since there's a lot of live music in Lafayette.
Yes.
So, but aside from that, I've been doing a little soul searching, you know.
Always good.
Yeah. So trying to focus on who I am, who I want to be, who I want to hang out with, like who's going to be my best 5 to hang out with the most. And I just realized that you can be surrounded by people every day, but you can still feel lonely. Yes. Just depending on who you're hanging out with.
It's the ironicness of life.
What all's going on. Yeah.
It's weird, but it happens. Yeah.
For sure. So, I, of course, want to surround myself with, like, positive people and influences and stuff, and that's why I'm grateful to be back with you guys. And
yay!
Yeah.
Gal pow power.
Mm-hmm.
So, as for me, I am Dr. Leah Leach. I'm the executive director of Gal's Guide. And my life since the last show can probably be summed up by healing through test driving, I think is probably the best way to put it in a sentence. So, I recovered pretty quickly from my car accident, which was nice. My fully paid for car was totaled. And so I had to spend 3 weeks trying to find a new car. And it felt like months, because when you don't have a car and you're kind of trapped in your surroundings, it just feels a lot longer. Little things like, oh, I could just go pick that up. I don't have a car.
Right? Mm-hmm.
It's
that's horrible.
Frustrating. Mm-hmm. And also no car payment too. Oh, we're going to have a car payment. Oh, man, we were doing so good. So we were all over the map on cars, but we decided to get a Hyundai Kona, and I just absolutely love it, and I'm kind of freaking out about it. We named it Dory because it's blue and black.
So cute.
And
I love it.
Freaking cute car. I've never had a new car before, but the universe was feeling like Oprah. You know, you get a car. Oprah's not paying for my car, though.
Did you ask?
I should.
Yes.
You're right. You just got to ask, right? The power's in the ask.
No
I know.
hurts.
I did get 0% interest for 72 months. So if I,
Nice.
at least I feel like the Oprah God gave me that.
Yeah.
Oprah would probably be like, honey, you got enough. So that's cool. Last month, my one cool thing was about my fibroids, and a quick update. I've seen a new doctor. I've had new tests done. And it appears that I have 3 fibroids, yay, but they've all shrunk. So they're quite small,
good.
which is actually really, really nice. I had a biopsy, and the results were benign, so no cancer. Woohoo, happy doing. But they did detect uterine polyps. So I'm learning about polyps. They're pretty much kind of like the same symptoms as fibroids, so a lot of what I talked about.
Gotcha.
Also the symptoms of polyps, yay! So you get the weird periods again and all that kind of good stuff. So I am having more tests done and more procedures done and all that kind of good stuff. But my God, that's been my life lately.
Oh, man.
Too
Eventful.
fun. And just in case anybody was worried of going, wait, she said she had a follow-up test. How did that go?
Right.
Everything's good. It's in the process of being fixed.
Good.
But you liked your new doctor, right? You felt listened
Yes.
to,
Yeah.
and
Problem solved. She's like,
Right.
let's get to the bottom of this. Let's figure out what it isn't. Let's figure out what it is. So that was like extremely wonderful. Instead of the glorious advice, my previous doctor, have a kid or get back on birth control.
Yeah. I
That
still
was
can't
the
believe
advice.
that was the,
Those were
a
your
medical
2 options?
profession.
It was back to the
Suggested you have a baby.
1930s. Yeah.
A woman.
A woman doctor. Just have a kid. That'll stop it. Sure.
No problem. Let's go. What?
The problem will be I'm going to go see another doctor.
Right? Now it's your problem because
Right, exactly. This is true. We're also going to add a quick news episode to our playlist as well. This is actually where you're going to get new Gals Guide library news, updates on past shows, and Gal Pals. So if you are a subscriber, this will actually show up in your Gals Guide podcast feed and you won't miss a beat. If you are not yet a subscriber, what are you waiting for? You're busy. This technology is awesome. Subscribe. It reminds you, you have nothing that you need to do. It's wonderful. So let me lay the groundwork for the next episodes because you're going to be hearing some fantastic episodes throughout the month of June of each of our Gals One Cool Thing relating to, and I will say this in the show that I am now obsessed with, the category is LGBT Pride Month. Does anybody know what I'm quoting? Has anybody seen the TV show Pose?
you just told me about it.
I told
sounds
Kim
amazing.
about it. I'm obsessed with the show. It's on FX, but it's now on Netflix, and it's about drag ball culture from New York City.
I
And
thought you were doing that British lady from like 10 years ago. Which was like, you're out.
oh, gotcha.
or
Oh,
whatever.
the weakest link. You
Yes.
are the weakest
I
link.
thought you were
I can
doing
also
that
do that one. Exactly. Well, let's see. So the Library of Congress, I would call the Library of Congress the Mother Library. I think that's fair. It's like the biggest library in the United States. So the Mother Library defines this fabulously proud month as Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Pride Month. It is currently celebrated each year in the month of June to honor the 1969 Stonewall Uprising in Greenwich Village. The Stonewall Uprising was a tipping point for the gay liberation movement in the United States. In the United States, the last Sunday in June was initially celebrated as Gay Pride Day, but the actual day was flexible. So major cities around the nation and the quote-unquote day soon grew to encompass a month-long series of events. And today's celebrations include pride parades, picnics, parties, workshops, symposia, sorry, I just had to say it with fanciness, And concerts and LGBT Pride Month events attract millions of participants around the world. Memorials are held during this month for the members of the community who have been lost to hate crimes or HIV/AIDS. The purpose of the commemorative month is to recognize the impact that lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender individuals have had historically, locally, nationally, and internationally. So we're going to be waving our pride flags high and celebrating our one cool thing. Side tangents are totally allowed, as always. So it was voted for me to go first, and it was kind of a not it situation. And that is totally fine. We're waiting for the margaritas to kick in, and I did have mine a little bit earlier, so it's probably fair.
I'm pretty sure I was second, right? So.
In a sippy cup. Yes, you were second.
I was second.
Second on the bill with the sippy cup margaritas of fantasticness. Okay, all right, so I will start mine with a question. When I say comedians, stand-up comedians, who do you gals think of? Male or female, doesn't matter. Who's the ones that pop to mind, stand-ups?
Ellen DeGeneres.
Ellen DeGeneres,
Yeah.
Yes, good one. You guys don't know that many stand-up comedians, do
I do
you?
listen to them. I just don't remember people's names.
The lady,
Names are
the
hard.
secretary on Evan Almighty.
Okay.
The black lady with curly hair.
I have never seen Evan Almighty.
Wanda.
Wanda Sykes?
Sykes.
Oh,
Yeah,
Wanda
Rhonda
Sykes
Sykes.
is
She's
awesome.
like one of
Oh my
my
God,
favorites. I
I
just
love-
suck at names. So
She's very, very good.
I like her.
I think my favorite comedian is the one that did Kid Gorgeous. What's his name?
Oh my gosh, I can see
yeah,
his face.
I can too.
Oh no.
Right?
Yeah, okay, but I will find it and put it in show notes. But I know exactly who you're talking about
Right?
because Sam really likes him.
He's hysterical.
And he was actually a presenter on the Oscars, and Sam went, I like him. And I'm like, he's a comedian. And so we watched one of his specials, and he was hilarious.
He is, and I can think of quotes from his comedy shows right now, but his name. Oh.
Google it while I press on Bonnie.
Hannah Gatsby.
Oh,
From
yes.
last year. That was amazing. I
Oh,
need to watch it. I've
yes.
only watched it like 10 times, but
Yeah.
I need to watch it again.
I was shocked by that one.
So good.
Because I'm like going, this is funny. Oh, it got serious, and I like it.
It's so good. Like, I kind of want to, put, a group of men in a room and be in, an
Just
observation deck.
Right?
Like, oh, it's so good.
I just need a scientific psychological study.
Yeah, I thought about, not really tricking, but making my family watch it over the holidays.
I think that's a good idea.
I thought about doing that.
That'd be its own comedy show, right?
It would and film it. I'm just saying. Just hide an
Right?
iPhone in the corner. Did you find his name?
Yeah, John Mulaney.
That's his
Of
name.
course.
It's also it is such a vanilla name that is kind of easy to remember, or to forget, I should say.
And
To
then
forget.
Chappelle,
Yes.
Yeah.
Gallagher, right?
Oh,
the watermelons
yes.
and all
Oh,
that.
I used to love
Robin Williams.
Robin. Still too soon. Still
I
too
know,
soon for
that's
me.
awful.
Sweet. Okay, well, it is quite possible that the first ever female stand-up comedian was a black gay woman who went by the stage name of Mom's Mabley.
Nice.
I kid you not. So let me just paint a picture about Mom's Mabley. So on stage, she would dress as an old woman with a knitted hat, a house coat, and her teeth out, like her dentures out. Okay, right? Exactly. If it helps, also picture Medea. You know Tyler Perry's Medea?
Yeah.
Basically, he is ripping off Mom's Mabley's look, okay? It's straight where that comes from is from Mom's. It's an homage, and you're going to see why, because Mom's was freaking brilliant. So Mom's would look like this old, unimposing, kind of helpless woman sort of thing. Also, one of the people, she looked like your mom, or she looked like somebody you knew, or she looked like your grandma or something like that. You could totally relate to her. She was the definition of approachable and harmless. However, she told dirty jokes. Some of the dirtiest jokes. And also, she was a flippin' wordsmith. Like, she really got past the censors because you had to really think about what she was talking about. So I'm going to give you an example so you can kind of, get the essence of her. So this is actually one of her jokes. Did you hear about the two old maids walking down the street? One said to the other one, I smell hair burning. The other one said, maybe we were walking too fast.
Oh.
Oh, there it is. hella dirty, but you've got to think about it to be like, did she really? Yes. And that's from an old woman looking like an old woman in a house coat. You do not expect it from her at all. So a little backstory on Moms. She was born in North Carolina around the 1890s. Nice. 1890s. She was 1 out of 10 children. Now, all comedians come from, like, really bad backgrounds. I'm just saying. From epic comedy is from epic, like, struggle. Is just the duality of it. Yeah. When she was a little kid, her father was a firefighter and was killed in an explosion. Oh. Then, a couple years later, her mother was hit and killed by a truck on Christmas Day.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
She was raped twice. Both times she became pregnant and had the kid and put it up for adoption. Then she turned 14.
Oh my God.
This is this gal's life up till 14. So she left home at 14 to join the TOBA, which is the Theater Owners Booking Association. Most people have heard of it as the Chitlin Circuit. Have you guys ever heard of the Chitlin Circuit?
I don't think
It's for Black entertainers back in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. They would go throughout the Midwest into the South, through New York, and they would perform different shows. So it was musical acts, it was comedy, it was vaudeville skits. And actually, the Apollo and the Cotton Club were on the list, and the Madam C.J. Walker Theater in Indianapolis was on the Chitlin Circuit. So, yeah, it was fantastic. So they would also do burlesque shows as well. So these were adult shows for adult entertainment, for adults to escape life for a bit. And it was really good money for any entertainer, especially Black entertainers. It was fantastic. So Mom's quote-unquote adopted family, because everybody's dead, except for her brothers and sisters. She did have lots of them. But her adopted family, her mom and dad, became this married couple. And they were vaudeville performers on the circuit. Their names were, their stage names anyway, were Butterbeans and Susie. Oh my. They were adorable pair, and they are most famous for their song, and I kid you not, I Want a Hot Dog for My Roll. Oh! Think about it. It's a married couple. A hot dog for my roll. So if you think about it, this is where Moms gets her dirty, but also her smart thinking. Yep. So Butterbeans and Susie saw that Jackie Mabley had built this persona of Moms Mabley. So she went by Jackie Moms Mabley sort of thing. Because I kept seeing these like billboards that said Jackie Mabley, and I'm like, is that her? Because I just know her as Moms. So I was like, oh wait, no, that's her. So she kind of started building this persona of a harmless persona and telling naughty jokes, but then adding in some social commentary, talking about racism in a very like gentle, unopposing way sort of thing. Getting into the political scene a little bit, because again, you have to be smart to kind of understand some of the jokes that she's talking about. So Butterbeans and Susie thought she was, the cat's meow, and she was ready to break out on her own and kill it. They took her to Harlem during the Harlem Renaissance, and she broke out. So she was on the marquee with Cab Calloway, with Louis Armstrong. Girl wrote a musical with Zora Neale Hurston. She wrote a musical that went on Broadway. She was the first ever woman comedian to headline the Apollo completely on her own. That's awesome. Which is amazing. She also headlined at this little place. It was called Carnegie Hall. Carnegie Hall. She played and packed Carnegie Hall. Wow. Unbelievable. She was very, very big in her day. And it's really kind of ironic because not a lot of people have heard of her. No. So it's like, wait a second. Well, in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, a person's sexuality was NOYDB, none of your damn business, right? Okay, yeah. Exactly. And to a certain extent, it still kind of is. Okay, but the reason why we kind of gravitate towards label sort of thing is because representation matters. You know what I mean? Speaking out, being successful. And when we see somebody who looks like us, who talks like us, who loves like us, who speaks the truth like us, it's empowering.
Yeah.
So to her, it was nobody's damn business. But on stage, she was the character of a harmless old woman in a frumpy dress and a housecoat that told dirty jokes. She talked about always being attracted to young men. When she was on the circuit, she would always make jokes about her and Cab Calloway and how they were going to get together. Later, she would make jokes about how her and Sammy Davis Jr. were an item. So she always had this joke going on that she was attracted to young men and that she was they were going to take care of her, not she was going to take care of them. But that was all on stage. Off stage, Jackie Mabley wore men's suits that were custom made for her. She slicked back her hair, and she had a lady on either arm at nearly all times.
Nice.
Girl was
Wow.
a player.
Wow.
Because she's touring the Chitlin circuit with dancers and entertainers.
Yeah.
So amazing. Jackie was also the mom to like everyone around her. She would cook for the other performers. She'd play cards and gamble with the other entertainers. She'd be the shoulder for anybody to cry on. She kind of earned this nickname of Moms because she took care of people. There's a quote in a documentary, and it's actually a documentary that Whoopi Goldberg made called Mom's Mabley. It was on HBO. It also showed, I can't remember if it was in Tribeca or Sundance, but it showed in one of the really important film festivals that filmmakers care about. But in the documentary that Whoopi made, one of the dancers said of Moms, quote, "In the day, we didn't call her gay or homosexual. We called her Mr. Moms." And I actually thought that was really cool and very respectful. And also, I love the movie with Michael Keaton. So I'm like, I approve. So Mr. Moms was making $10,000 a week in the 40s and 50s. That's a lot of money now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she was billed as the world's funniest woman. And yet, for the longest time, I hadn't even heard of her. She totally missed my radar. So I thought, just in case I'm not the only one, I wanted to spread the gospel of moms to the children's today. So Mom's fame grew again in the 60s. It wasn't really a comeback because she didn't go anywhere. She just changed audiences. There was this little thing called television that really kind of like brought her to another level. She was on the Merv Griffin show, the Ed Sullivan show, the Smothers Brothers show. Hell, she was on the Playboy After Dark show. I totally forgot that was even a show, by the way. But it's like Hugh Hefner in his living room, and he invites an interesting guest to talk and smoke cigarettes and have drinks.
I've never seen it.
It's on YouTube. They're awkwardly interesting, but the one with Moms is really, really good. And Sammy Davis Jr. is there, too.
So they have it on YouTube? Like, we could look it up right
Yes.
now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'll put
Nice.
even a link in the show notes so you can find it even easier. But it's hysterical, and I'm sure it'll start a rabbit hole. What other, like, I know Tina and Ike Turner were on the Playboy After Dark. And if I remember right, it's awkward because those two were not getting along at the time. Yes.
A little snarky.
Exactly. A little bit. Also, so Moms, on any show that she was on, of course, she was freaking hilarious. But she made the censors very nervous. Because she would say things where the words are fine. They're not any of the words that you censor out. But if you thought about it, and it took a minute, like, they're almost grenades. They're like joke grenades. It's like, wait, what did she just say? What is she talking about? Yeah, she was like that. So it really scared people. She actually released 20 party albums. Now, I actually grew up on party albums. Kim's going, what the hell's a party album? I can tell by your face.
No, yeah.
Have you girls ever heard of party albums before? They're stand-up comedy on record. Yeah. So you'd play them in the corner during a party because it would sound like more people were there. Or if you were a lonely kid, I'm pointing at myself, and you were sitting at home on a Friday night, you would listen to stand-up comedy.
I could just download them right now.
I'm just saying. Yeah, exactly. And they still exist, except now they're on CD, and nobody calls them party albums before. So a lot of times they had special songs, or they had parody songs, you know what I mean? Like comedy songs that will only be released on these records. Mom did a show at Sing Sing Prison every year, and one of these is a live recording for her release. So it's like Mom at Sing Sing. And it's hysterical because she's ever so subtly making fun of the warden and getting in with the prisoners in the crowd. Like warming them to her, right? Yeah. So this is kind of how she does this, and this kind of gives you more of a painted picture of moms. So what she did is she calls the warden to the stage, and she thanks him for bringing her there, for allowing her to continue to be at Sing Sing all of these years. She gives him a couple of copies of her records, and she says that she hopes he laughs so hard he falls dead. So to the warden, it's like, oh, that's really nice. That's a compliment that I will laugh so hard from this free gift. You know what the prisoners are thinking. Mom's gets us. We hope he dies too. So these were the kind of jokes that Mom would do, where it was a lot of duality. It was really masterful comedy, which was fantastic. Also, her album sold millions, and I'm not exaggerating. They really did sell millions of copies.
Amazing.
It's really, really cool. Her album Abraham, Martin, and John was released in 1969. She became the oldest person to have a top 40 hit. She was 75 at the time.
Goodness.
Wow.
I know. So actually, this particular song and album that came from it too was a very sad one, which is the ironic thing because she's a comedian. She has this very sad song called Abraham, Martin, and John. It was her processing the assassinations at the time. So it is about Martin Luther King Jr. and it is about John Kennedy and then Bobby Kennedy. The Abraham is starting it off with Abraham Lincoln. So it's like, oh my God. So she actually performs this on that Playboy After Dark with Sammy Davis Jr. And it starts off like, oh, okay, this is going to be cute and fun. Next thing you know, you're bawling your eyes out. It's like, it touches you on like so many different levels. And its main lyric, has anybody seen my old friend Martin Luther? Can anybody tell me where he's gone? Aww. So she plays this naive old woman that's trying to understand it. And I'm like, I'm just crying and crying. And I'm like, oh my God. So that song's amazing. So moms will make you laugh and she will make you think and she will take care of you and she will shock you. So that's fun. She makes you want to be smarter and she makes you want to like do more to kind of like fix this crazy world too, because she challenges you. Here's the ironic thing. Moms died May 23rd, 1975. 44 years ago today.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know that. I was doing the research and I went, wait, that's the date we're recording.
It's crazy.
So whatever date this goes out, today as we're recording, it was 44 years ago. But I can't finish my one cool thing with something that sad.
Right.
So here's an example of why I freaking love her so much. So in 1973, she was on stage at the Grammys, okay? She's paired with a young Chris Christopherson, who was the hottest guy in his particular day. I'm trying to think of an equivalent, maybe like the first day George Clooney was on television. You know what I mean? Like everybody got obsessed. The day Brad Pitt showed up in Thelma and Louise. You know, that was the Chris Christopherson pretty much time. Yeah. So she's in character. She is flirting like nobody's business with Chris Christopherson. He's digging it. He's having fun with it. He thinks she's a riot. And she just turns to him after she gets a little tongue-tied and says, I never could work with my teeth in anyway. Reaches in, takes her teeth out, and puts them in her purse during the Grammys telecast. And the crowd goes crazy, and Chris Christopherson's like, you're awesome. Totally down with it. So it's one of those things where she's not heard of that often to a lot of people, but everywhere I look, I see her influence though. So the people that were in comedy, that were kind of growing up around listening to comedy, I see them rip her off all the time. So, but she is 100% an originator. And if you watch her stuff, you're going to start seeing where everybody else got their stuff from. So, yeah. So I figured my first question would be, can you think of any other little old lady characters that turned out to be like, you know, lusting after older men? Have you heard this kind of, you've seen this character before? You know who I'm talking about? The lusty old lady.
Hold on. All I can think of is like the Mama's Family right now.
Yes.
So, Yeah, that's
No,
it.
that's totally where it's
That's
from.
what I watch all the time.
Yep, there
Hilarious.
you go.
Her, like both of those female comedians that work together.
Yes. Vicky and Carol Burnett.
Yep.
Exactly. I
Mhm.
don't know why I can't remember Vicky's last name. Lawrence. Vicky
Vicki
Lawrence.
Lawrence
There
and
it is.
Carol
Because she
Burnett.
was, yeah.
I was thinking of them as you were talking.
See? Perfect. Yeah, no, that's totally a
And
mom's
Betty White.
reference. Absolutely.
But Betty White, I mean,
Oh,
she
Betty
could
White.
have anybody.
No.
Everybody. Love Betty White.
Sorry,
what did
go
I
ahead.
put on our list? I said any book by Betty White. Any freaking book by Betty White I want to have in the library, by the way.
Please and thank you.
Exactly. Did you guys see, like, Nutty Professor?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Eddie Murphy, in this documentary that Whoopi Goldberg made, he went, yeah, no, I straight up stole mom's persona. Like,
Oh, awesome.
100%. Exactly. Hercules. Yes, exactly. So he's like, no, that is. And then Medea.
Oh, yeah.
But I see it every now and again, and I'm like, I know where that comes from.
Mhm.
Do you guys have, like, a favorite stand-up special, or even, like, Netflix or on record or anything like that? I need to introduce you guys to more stand-up. This is what I
Yeah.
has learned today.
It's just like picking one. Like we saw Dimitri Martin a
Yes.
couple months ago.
You saw him live too, not even like
down
a
at the Murat.
special.
Yeah,
Nice. How was he live? Is
he's great.
he awkwardly wonderful?
He was trying out a new thing for a new special, and I'm really hoping it's going to be on there.
Oh, fantastic!
He does, he has his big clipboard.
I
that he
love
draws
that's my
on.
favorite part. That or
He
the
did
songs.
a thing where he did a thing and explained what all the little drawings were, and then when he got to the end, he did it in reverse and made them completely different things.
No way!
That's
And it was
awesome.
amazing.
Ooh, I like
I
that.
love those concepts.
I'm down with that. And I'll be like, Bonnie told me about this first.
Yeah, I remember Ellen DeGeneres doing her stand-up specials. One of them, she sings "Shoot."
Yep.
Good.
Shoot. Her new one is So Relatable. And she talks about her butler and her life now. And she's like, I am so relatable. It's fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm kind of old school. I go to like Adam Sandler and Chris Farley. But then
Yes.
like Lucille Ball and Red Skeleton and all them. Like
Oh, yes.
Bob Hope.
Yep.
Hilarious.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And all of his USO shows that he did for the troops.
So cool.
Exactly.
But recently, I really need to get into it.
It's worth it. And the thing that I recommend, especially if you have like Netflix, and Hulu has some, but Netflix does have more,
Mhm.
they're only like 45 minutes to an hour.
Mhm.
So, like sometimes you're like going, oh man, I don't have time, or I don't feel like an hour and a half, 2.5 hour movie sort of
Mhm.
thing. Just hit a stand-up. You're going to know in the first 10 minutes whether or not you dig the humor or not, really. I very rarely actually turn one of those off either. So it's like, no.
By the time
get
I
this.
start it, I can't stop because everyone's so unique. I mean, unless I just don't vibe with their style, Like,
Right, exactly.
It's interesting to me to get in someone's head.
Right.
Like, I don't
See
know.
the world through their point of view.
Swim through their brain a little.
Exactly. And then the last question I have for you is, how do you feel about that idea or that role of the separation of a character on stage and a completely different person in the reels? Is it weird? Can we even do that in today's day and age? You know what I mean?
I mean, I think it's fantastic. I would love to play different characters. I do that with my clothes all the time,
See?
I like to dress up. I like to dress down. I don't know. I think it's great.
You're like, do it!
Yeah. For the longest time, I didn't realize that Carol Burnett was Mama.
Right.
Was it Vicky or
No, Vicky.
No, that was
Vicky Lawrence was
it
Mama.
Vicky
Yes.
Lawrence, yeah.
Yep, exactly.
But
Carol Burnett was just the one that said, Mama,
Yeah.
like all
Mom.
the time. So, yes. Fair enough. Did you know that, random factoid, that Carol Burnett's mentor was Lucille Ball?
I think I'd heard that.
Have you heard
Yeah.
that? Lucille Ball sent Carol Burnett flowers every single birthday.
I did
No.
not hear that.
And she would always sign it, happy birthday, kid. Like it was
I
her
love
kid.
it.
Lucille Ball died on Carol Burnett's birthday,
Oh my gosh.
but the flowers arrived that day. Yeah. And so, like, Carol Burnett's like, she's like, I
That gives me
cried
chills.
twice.
Right?
She heard the news, and she's like, oh. And then flowers arrived from Lucy, and she's like, I can't. I just can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But those two were really, really tight. They were kind of like, pseudo mother-daughter kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
I do love stories like that. I just love women helping other women out.
Yes. What about you
So,
guys? Like, what do you think about the different characters?
The
versus-
duality nature of it all.
I'd be interested to see if how different Stephen Colbert really is from his character. I've
I
only seen
know.
him in character.
Right.
It's really hard for me to picture him not being like that.
I think the Tonight Show is a halfway house. I think we're seeing half of him real and half not. Actually, if you... Oh, what was the show? Oh, the PBS show Finding Your Roots, which is a genealogy show.
Mhm.
He was on that, and he was not in character.
Mhm.
And it was not too far away, but you could tell just that little subtlety of who the non-fake conservative was. And so it was neat. So I think you get somewhat of it, but not all of it. That'd be fun.
I would think as a celebrity, it would be a nice protection.
Yeah, right?
You don't have to share all of you with everyone.
Yep.
You can hold something back and create this character and persona.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool when you were explaining about moms. I was expecting you to say that she pretended she was crazy about these young guys and then hid that she preferred women and
Right.
liked being masculine in her everyday dress. So I think it's really cool to
She
know
didn't
that
hide
she
it.
didn't hide it.
Exactly.
She felt confident just being her.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
One was on stage and one was at home. One was
Yeah.
nobody's business, except she
Yeah.
would still go out and be photographed. She didn't care.
Right.
And it's
She wasn't
fantastic.
talking about it all the time, though.
Exactly.
That wasn't the focus. She's like, I am who I am. I'm
Exactly.
not going to
Although-
explain it to you.
I will say her Christmas card. I saw a photo of her Christmas card. It's like a headshot, hair slicked back. The suit is freaking fierce. It's like Cary Grant would rock this suit. Like,
Oh,
it
wow.
looked nice. And it's just her posing, and it's pretty much like the best high school picture you've ever seen, except it's like professionally staged. And it's like, love your Jackie mom's Mabley. And that was like season's greetings, her card. And I'm like, I love this. So like everybody she knew who was on her Christmas list is like, you're not getting a mom's headshot with my teeth out. You're getting who I really am. And they're all like, yes.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, that wraps it up for us this week. Join us next week when our next gal pal shares her one cool thing as Gal's Guide to the Galaxy podcast continues. Thanks for listening. For show notes, links, and images from this week's show, visit galsguide.org. Want exclusive stuff like deleted bits and major bloopers? Become a Gal's Guide patron today. Thanks for listening.